Andrew, I've seen some of your work.
Oh, here
the
we
rounds
go.
on Twitch here, and a lot of the things that you said that you've been called out on, specifically in regards to like women driving, as a matter of fact, are just generally untrue. There's no.
All right, here we go. So it's Hassan versus Andrew. HasanAbi, the king of ad hominems. But anyway, behind the wheel, women are safer drivers than men. Okay, so let's see. Compared with women, male drivers of cars and vans were involved in twice as many fatal accidents. The study in injury prevention found that per mile traveled, trucks and buses were involved in the largest number of fatalities involving others on the road, and motorcycles were about twice as dangerous to the road users as cars. Bicycle riders were involved in the fewest fatalities. But compared with women, male drivers of cars and vans had twice the rate of fatal accidents per mile driven. Male truck drivers had about 4 times the rate of women truckers, and men driving motorcycles almost 12 times the rate of women motorcyclists. For bus drivers and bicycle riders, there was little difference between the sexes. Alright, so here's the idea. So Andrew and Hassan are arguing who's the better driver. Andrew in his interview, or rather, when asked, he said that men are better drivers. And Hassan is telling him that women are better drivers because they're safer drivers. So what's happening is, well, you'll see. They're going to be arguing cross purposes here.
No empirical evidence to back up those claims, which is why you resort to anecdotes quite frequently and say things like, oh, well, it's just common sense, right? But it's not technically common sense.
Sex differences in driving and insurance risk. An analysis of the social and psychological differences between men and women that are relevant to the driving behavior. And this on the y-axis, number of fatal crashes per 100 million. And clearly it's higher for men. Significantly higher before in the 1970s, but that was when cars were less safe, and now it's still higher for men, but driving is safer overall for both.
It's just
Cool.
your
That's
personal
fine.
opinion.
Completely. It's my personal opinion based on my personal biases of my life experience. Now,
Yeah.
when I say yeah, exactly. And when I say these things, X amount of people agree with me and X amount of people disagree with me. That's fine, and that's the same of nearly any statement in the world.
Okay,
I
but
can say
if-
I can say the world is round, and there'll be a percentage of people who disagree with me. That's totally and utterly fine. I come on here and talk about my own personal experiences, and my experience is men are better drivers than women. I'm not saying there's no good female drivers. I'm not saying a female can't move a
No.
car.
You're misunderstanding what I'm saying. There is a truth, and then there is your own personal experience.
Right, so what Hassan is arguing is that the idea is this. He's saying women are better drivers because they're safer drivers. That's what Hassan is saying. And Andrew's saying that men are better drivers because in his experience, men are better drivers. And in his experience, all the car accidents are caused by women. Now, here's the thing. There's a difference between better and safer, okay? So if your definition of better is that they're safer, then Hassan is right. Based on statistics, women are safer drivers, and by that definition of better, women are better drivers. But if your definition of better is more accurate, more skilled, well then men are better drivers. And that's because at the highest skill level, men are better drivers. And when I say the highest skill level, I mean race cars, right? And by that definition, men are better. So right now, Hassan and Tate are actually arguing across each other. They're not talking about the same better. And so it's not about facts versus reality like Hassan is trying to paint it. It's actually they haven't defined the terms, so they're not debating. So what's actually happening is it's a logical fallacy. Because Hassan is saying the general population and statistics say that this is true, therefore this is true, and you're relying on your anecdotal experience, therefore your experience is invalid. And that would be absolutely true if they were arguing about the same better. But because they're not, the argument falls flat. So basically what I'm saying is they needed to define the terms at the beginning of the argument. Hello and welcome to the Helios blog. My name is Helios, here for another reaction video. If you're new to the channel, liking the content, please hit the sub, hit all for notifications. If you would like to support me, I have a Patreon with exclusive content. It's patreon.com/theheliosblog. Just subscribe to any tier. Any level of support is appreciated. All right, let's continue.
Backed by anecdotes, right? Or your own personal opinion backed by anecdotes from your own personal experiences. Now, your own personal experiences are oftentimes going to be incorrect and not close to the reality. That's why there's an entire field of statistical analysis. That's why we do empirical. That's why we rely on empirical evidence when we're making.
Right. Okay. So here, guys, it's time to say something inflammatory because I know a lot of you are Hassan fanboys. So it's time, okay? It's time. Hassan is a highly intelligent, logical man. It's very clear. It's clear by the way he's talking here. So here's my argument. Here is the truth. Hassan can be destroyed by his own logic. He says, and he talks based on empirical evidence and observation. And yet, if we talk about female nature, right, and statistics that are unflattering to women, because right now the debate is basically women are better drivers than men because women are safer drivers, right? So the statistics are flattering to women, and so Hassan agrees. But Hassan is unwilling to use the same logic to agree with these statistics. I'll bet. And the statistics are the following. If you look at data for OkCupid, okay, the OkCupid study, the OkCupid study says that 20% of men receive 80% of the female attention. Okay? Statistically speaking, 20% of men receive 80% of the female attention. And that means that 80% of men are not receiving that attention. More OkCupid data, okay? Data, hard statistics. Taken, it was like a big data study looking at who's matching who on OkCupid, which they later took down because, you know, you can't say things that are unflattering to women. But here's the other thing. If, when asked, like men, when they were asked to rate the attractiveness of women, they rated women on a normal distribution. So what that means is that about 75% of women got average scores between 4 and 6 out of 10. And, you know, there were outliers that got, you know, higher, and there were outliers that got lower, but statistically speaking, they followed exactly the normal distribution. If you don't know what the normal distribution is, literally just Google it, okay? So that's how males rated females, okay? So men rated women on a totally normal distribution. But if you asked women to rate men, well, this is where the things change. Because when women rate men, they rate 80% of men. Listen carefully. They rate 80% of men as below average. So that means they rate 80% of men as below a 5. So what does that mean? It supports the statement that I said before, that the top 20% of men are getting most of the female attention. And I'll bet if in this conversation Tate were to change the subject and talk about this, Hassan would then not agree with the statistics, and he wouldn't argue the same in the same rational, calculated, beautiful, scientific manner that he's doing with the driving cars analogy that's flattering to women. Instead, he would say, "What a toxic M word! What a hater of women! What a terrible guy you are!" And the reason is because Hassan believes in statistics that flatter women, but he doesn't believe in statistics that are unflattering to women. So his own logic would destroy him here. He has proven, or at least the argument that I'm about to say is supported, that Hassan is an intelligent, logical man who's capable of rational thought. So because I believe that he's capable of these things, he should be capable of understanding those statistics that I mentioned. But I'll bet when confronted with those statistics, he would not agree wholeheartedly, he would instead resort to ad hominems, like he always does when he talks about the quote-unquote incels. So what I'm going to tell you is that I believe the following. And here I'm about to destroy your boy's reputation, because this is what I believe to be the truth. I believe Hassan actually does know the real way the world works. I believe Hassan is very aware of the real dynamics between men and women. I just believe that he purposely lies to his audience, because he has lots of women in the audience, he has lots of useful idiot men in the audience, and he has a net worth of 1.5 million, or between 1.5 and 3.5 million, and his net worth is directly dependent on having a female-centric, a gynocentric point of view, a point of view that aligns itself with the feminine in all ways. So basically, Hassan, he's not a cuttlefish, but he sure acts like one. And if you're wondering what a cuttlefish is, a cuttlefish, it's a type of fish that has two different mating strategies, okay? So there are two populations of male cuttlefish. One population is the big, strong, quote-unquote alpha cuttlefish. These cuttlefish directly compete for the females, in aggressive displays, they fight, whatever, and then they reproduce. But there's a second population of cuttlefish, male cuttlefish. And these cuttlefish, they follow the following strategy. It's called the sneaky effer. So these cuttlefish, what they do is they actually grow to be exactly the same size and morphology, which means shape. They look the same as the females. And so what happens is they swim along with the females in the shoal of female cuttlefish. And when the males go to reproduce, this sneaky effer cuttlefish, it sneaks in and steals the reproduction, as it were, because the male cuttlefish thinks that it's mating with a female cuttlefish, but it's actually mating with a male. And he sneaks in by associating with the feminine. Do you see what I'm saying here? HassanAbi is a cuttlefish. He only believes in data and statistics that are flattering and favorable to women, which means that Hassan is part of the brainwashing done on men in order to maintain the matriarchy, which is the female stranglehold over culture. And if you don't believe that we live in a female stranglehold on culture, look at all movies, look at all TV shows, look at what you're allowed to say in public and what you're not allowed to say. Look at who initiates divorces more. Look at who gets the children and child support and alimony more. Look at who is likely to be believed without proof, etc. And that's all that needs to be said about that. All right, we're going to shift to this article here. There is no one. This is written by Rollo Tomasi. So what I was thinking is, when I ran out of articles that I read, that I've written, I'm just going to read Rollo's, because Rollo is one of the greats. So putting his articles in here, I think, is a wonderful segue. And it'll be very helpful to a lot of the listeners here. Because those of you that aren't familiar with Rollo Tomasi, well, look at the date. 2011 is when he started writing on the Rational Mail. It was actually earlier, but anyway. The point is, Rollo's books are, well, they're one of the fundamental reasons why I learn the truth, and I'd like for you to also learn so that you can better your life, okay? So, there is no one. Oneitis is paralysis. You cease to mature, you cease to move, you cease to be you. There is no one, and that is the myth of the soulmate. There are some good ones and some bad ones, but there is no one. Anyone telling you anything else is telling you something. There are lots of special someones out there for you, just as the divorced, widowed person who's remarried after the soulmate has died or moved on. And this is what trips people up about the soulmate myth. It's this fantasy that we all at least in some way share an idealization of, that there is one perfect mate for each of us, and as soon as the planets align and fate takes its course, we'll know we're intended for each other. And while this may make for a gratifying romantic comedy plot, it's hardly a realistic way to plan your life. In fact, it's usually paralyzing. What I find even more fascinating is how common the idea is that a nuts and bolts view of life should be trumped by this fantasy in the era of intersexual relationships. Guys who would otherwise recognize the value of understanding psychology, biology, sociology, evolution, business, engineering, and the interplay we see of these and how the interplay takes place on a daily basis in our lives, are some of the first guys to become violently opposed to the idea that maybe there isn't someone for everyone, or there are a lot more ones out there that you could meet or exceed the criteria. So guys, do you remember how I said Hassan only believes in statistics that favor women? This is exactly what I'm talking about. The soulmate myth follows this exact same sort of mythology, right? So, I think it comes off as nihilistic, or this dread that maybe the ego investment in this belief is false. It's like saying God is dead to deeply religious. It's just too terrible to contemplate that there may be no one or several ones to spend their lives with. This Western romanticized mythology is based on the premise that there's only one perfect mate for any single individual, and as much as a lifetime can and should be spent in constant search of the soulmate. So strong and so pervasive is this myth in our collective society that it has become akin to a religious statement, and in fact has been integrated into many religious doctrines as feminization of Western culture has spread. So guys, again, every time I do this, I do these videos, I'm going to give you some rational male. Again, if you want, check him out. It's literally, you just Google the rational male, and then this is from Best Of. So again, I'm just giving you a sneak peek. Look up Rollo Tomasi. He's wonderful. Okay, I'm literally using Rollo's content to boost my content here. But seriously, he's amazing, and he is one of the greats, and he's one of my idols. So there you go. Go check him out. All right, back to this Hassan thing. Hassan vs. Tate.
Making decisions. Why? Because we all carry a bunch of personal biases, and when we analyze situations, we do not have enough scope to grasp the entirety of the situation.
True.
We cannot comprehend it with our human brains.
Well argued.
Bro, listen,
which is why when it comes to women driving, it's a funny point, because the truth is different. The truth is the exact opposite.
No, listen. First things first, there's lies, there's damn lies, and there's statistics. I'm sure you've heard that from Mark Twain. That's the first thing. The second thing is that you're deriving.
You can massage numbers, but
you're deriving your truth from an internet study. That's fine. You can derive your truth from an internet study on a bunch of different things. The truth of life is the truth that you experience as an individual. That is the only truth that we all live within. You live within your truths, I live within my truths, because these are the truths I've experienced as an individual.
I actually, funnily enough, I'm going to say I disagree with Andrew's stance here. I don't believe that the only truth is the truth that we experience. I actually believe that there is a greater truth, and that is the truth of the actual truth, which is of greater scope than our individual minds can actually understand. And that's why we need statistics, and we need a scientific sort of sort of dissection of the way that the world really works, because people are not able to understand the nuances of the way the world works without basically a group constructed understanding, right? Which is what science is. So actually, in this, I agree with Hassan. And this is what I don't understand. I mean, I do understand Hassan makes money off this, which is, again, I think it's doubly bad, right? That such a smart guy could purposely lie to his audience in order to destroy their lives in the future. Because, guys, I'm telling you, if you believe what Hassan tells you to believe, which he doesn't even believe, just be nice, women are sugar spice and everything nice, they can do no wrong, etc., etc. If you believe this stuff, if you believe that you need to take women on $200 dinners, in order to get laid, if you believe that how you look doesn't matter and it's all about personality and there's a soul mate and all this kind of shit, like, guys, I don't know what to tell you. You're going to have a miserable life. you're never going to have good relationships, and you're not going to understand why. It's because, guys, people like Hasan have lied to you about the real way the world works. And Hasan knows the truth because he's a smart guy. He's capable of rational thought. He's capable of challenging, sort of common misconceptions, right? He clearly, by what he's just said here, he's capable of doing it. So that he doesn't do it in this specific realm of women, it tells you everything it needs to tell. It's that Hasan's net worth and value and his acceptance by society is tied up in lying to you. So you can believe the truth or you can believe the lies. It's up to you. But ultimately, if you believe the lie that the sun orbits around the earth, you're going to have a bad time as you stay ignorant. That's the truth. All right, let's continue.
Certain things happen to you over and over and over and over and over again, but the truth on the internet says it's not true. That doesn't mean that your experiences are any less real.
Yeah, actually, I agree with Andrew here. So many of us, I'm sure, have experienced this. You know, when you're young, right? Like, let's say you're 14, 15, 16, whatever, you don't really understand how the world works, right? And so online they say women are sugar spies and everything nice. Women like nice guys. Women like guys who invest in them emotionally, who are emotionally supportive. Women like guys that are, that are good providers. Like all this shit, right? That you hear online. And then you try to do those things that online says you should do. So you try to be nice. You try to be a good provider. You try to kiss women's ass and compliment and kiss up to them and treat them like they're princesses and queens and all that. And then you get entirely rejected and these girls go for other guys, right? And Hasan himself in a video said, well, the reason that the girls go for those guys isn't because they're assholes. They go for those guys because they have other traits that they're beating you in. They're more attractive than you. They have other shit. But here's the thing. Hasan gives advice like, just be nice. Hasan gives advice like, just be emotionally supportive, bro. Hasan gives advice like this. And if you follow this advice, you will be miserable. So it's up to you if you want to listen to Hasan. But if you do listen to him, you're going to end up miserable. I'm telling you, you need to listen to the real way the world works, because if you don't, you're going to end up in a very bad place. So, guys, don't take my word for it. Try to go and have some boundaries. I don't need extra friends. I don't need extra friends. I'm not interested in wasting my time on girls that aren't interested in me. I'm not interested in being nice to people that are just going to use me for my attention, validation, resources, taxi cab services. Now, again, I'm not saying don't be nice to girls. You can be. But you can't be nice with no return. If the girl wants to be treated nice, she's got to give you what you want as well. So it's not, I give you everything. I buy you nice things. I take you on nice dinners, and then you go and sleep with Chad. It's, you show me that you're girlfriend material. You show me that you're a good girl. You show me that you're the kind of girl that can follow rules. You show me that you're the kind of girl that is respectful and that doesn't advertise herself to other men. And then I give you the boyfriend behaviors. Then I'll drive you places. Then I'll take you to nice dinners. Then I'll buy you gifts. Then I'll compliment you. You see? You don't lead with that. You use that to reward good behavior. Do you understand? So Hasan, the advice he's giving you is totally destructive. Just be nice, bro, is not good advice. Maybe it works if you look like Hasan. So Hasan is the kind of guy that he's been working out since he was like 14, 15 years old. He has good genetics. He takes care of himself. He eats properly, and so a guy like Hasan can have these stupid beliefs and he'll still get laid. He'll still get plenty of girlfriends and he'll be insulated from the real way the world works because he's what we call a natural, right? So he can, and then he gives shitty advice like just be nice, right? Or he has the audacity to call himself Chad, right? When he is like, actually maybe Chad is appropriate. He's a guy who's clueless about the way the world works, but because of the things that he just, does, because that's just what he does, he happens to be successful. Other people are not so lucky, right? And so he gives destructive advice, not knowing that the reason he's giving destructive advice, not knowing why, right? Because naturals never had to learn what actually, like how the world really works, how women actually are. They were insulated from that the whole time. And what's funny is that natural alphas are actually women's favorite. And here's why. Natural alphas are women's favorite because they're clueless. So what happens is the women get the good genes, and then they can slowly betaize the guy because he has no idea how women work, right? And so through that slow betaization process, she then is able to extract resources out of him. So she gets the protection and provisioning and the parental investment. So she gets alpha and beta in the same guy, but actually over time. She never gets the alpha male and the beta male at the same time, which is what all women want. Women want like the, Christian Grey from 50 Shades of Grey, who's like a, handsome, young billionaire who's also good in bed, who also somehow is monogamous with the main character, right? So there you go. All right, we're going to go on to the article now. 12 reasons why there's orgasm inequity. And no, it's not that women are harder to please. I was young when I came to discover the M word, and I had orgasms long before I knew what they were. Nothing about it seemed complicated. I just, did stuff and it happened. But later magazines, comedy routines, and sitcoms taught me that my body was mysterious and complex. Confirming what I've been taught, they aren't as simple with partners as they were with myself. This is to be expected to some extent. There's a learning curve when you're getting to know someone new. But what confused me was that not everyone seemed eager to learn. Oh, you mean not all men are eager to please you and then you're upset about it? Yeah, say it ain't so. Sorry, I unnecessarily apologized to a partner for taking what I thought was too long. It's okay, I know it's harder for girls, he said, and then stopped. Compounding the lack of effort I encountered from some partners, it became harder when I started SSRI antidepressants. Okay, guys, it's red flag city. And then the doctor said it's hard for a lot of women anyway. Yeah, I mean, what she says here is right. It doesn't have to be the focus of bedroom fun, but if a woman wants one, she should have as much of a right to request it as anybody else, except there is an argument I'm going to make, and it's the same argument that Myron makes on Fresh and Fit. Technically speaking, and again, it's not that I agree. I really do enjoy, giving those things. I'm trying to avoid the YouTube algorithm, okay? But I do enjoy, providing that sort of thing, okay? But technically speaking, it isn't necessary. The only one that's necessary to have children is the male one, right? So, I mean, so girls complaining that there's a gap, I mean, they're kind of avoiding biological reality, right? And they're putting feels before reals. Anyway, we're going to end the video there. So again, if you're new to the channel, liking the content, please hit the sub, hit on for notifications. If you'd like to support me, I do have a Patreon with exclusive content. It's patreon.com/theheliosblog. Again, just subscribe to any tier. Any level of support is appreciated. Thank you so much for listening, especially if you took the time to get to the end of the video. I do really appreciate it. You guys are awesome, and I will see you next time. Thank you so much for watching my channel. Please remember to do all of the following. Like the video for the algorithm. Comment on the video. I respond to all comments and I'll give you a heart. Subscribe and hit the bell so you can see my content on your feed. Check out all of my content on other platforms. It spreads the reach of the channel. YouTube, bit.ly/HeliosYouTube. Rumble, bit.ly/HeliosRumble. My blog is realheliosblog.com. My podcast, bit.ly/HeliosPodcast. My Patreon, patreon.com/theheliosblog. You can also support the show at bit.ly/heliosdonations and buy my books at bit.ly/heliosbooks. Thank you so much for all of your support.